Kalki 289880. I have a lot to say about this film, most of which is positive. There are a couple of negatives which I'll discuss in this video, but overall, my impression of this movie was that it's a very commendable effort to evolve Indian cinema. You see, sci-fi movies are a rarity in India, and Kalki 289880 isn't just a sci-fi movie, it's a high sci-fi movie akin to Dune. The difference, however, lies in the fact that Kalki is helmed with the highest budget an Indian movie has ever got, that is 600 crores or about 72 million US dollars. Dune wasn't the most expensive Hollywood movie, and its source material is considered the world's most influential high sci-fi novel. It's given the same amount of credence as the Lord of the Rings novels, which are considered as the genesis of the high fantasy genre. Moreover, Dune already had a live-action adaptation back in 1984 which had mixed reception, so director Denis Villeneuve had a valuable precedent. Kalki, however, has no source material or precedent. Lord Kalki is prophesied to be the 10th and final avatar of Lord Vishnu, one of the three main gods that embody creation, preservation and destruction respectively in the Hindu religion or Sanatan Dharma, who will take birth near the end of the time period we are living in, that is Kali Yuga, when evil and sin would be at peak. He defeats the incorporeal Kali, who feeds on evil and sin, ushering humanity into a new era. At the beginning of this movie, all this is explained by Lord Krishna, the 8th avatar of Lord Vishnu, to Ashwatthama. Based on this outline, director Nag Ashwin built a cinematic universe, which was expected given the budget and risk factor of this movie, and the best part is that there are many fresh ideas in this movie's script. This is a really impressive feat given the amount of high sci-fi media that we have been exposed to from around the world over the years. The way he blends high sci-fi elements of a dystopian world with an immortal character from a bygone era waking up after 6,000 years to fulfill his purpose is unique. That character is none other than Ashwatthama, one of the 7 immortals as per the Hindu epics and the survivor of the great Mahabharata war. He has a redemption arc in this movie where he has to save a womb with Lord Kalki inside, as only that would sever his immortality and allow him to leave the material plane based on the curse given to him by Lord Krishna for killing a womb and destroying the lineage of the Pandavas, who were the good side during the Mahabharata. The world structure of this cinematic universe is quite interesting. The first half goes in the build-up of this world and how it works, so it may feel slow to some people, but it was necessary as this is the first Indian high sci-fi movie on such a grandiose scale, kickstarting a cinematic universe. You have Kashi, which is the last remaining city in the world. Kashi is also considered the oldest ongoing city as per Hindu epics. It is a dystopian city that's present alongside the holy river Ganga, which has dried up. It has neon lights, which are kind of a cliche dystopian media trope at this point, along with a very polluted atmosphere, negligible fertility rates, and food shortage. Then you have the complex, which is like a floating inverted pyramid stretching kilometers up in the middle of Kashi. It's like an artificial heaven, sucking resources from the earth to sustain a utopian world inside. The leader of the complex is Supreme Yaskin, a 200-year-old human who is slowly dying of a depreciating body and wants to extract the DNA of Lord Kalki when he'd be in womb to use it and do justice to the supreme part of his name. For this, he's funding an experiment in the complex, impregnating women kidnapped from across the world, hoping to get Kalki in one of them, as the prophecy specifies that the date of his coming is nigh. Yaskin has also banned religion and worship in the world. It's not explicitly stated, but based on this, it seems heavily implied that he is influenced by the demon Kali. Finally, you have Shambhala, which is a hidden yet technologically advanced haven for the remaining religions. There are people who may say that the movie copies the visuals and tropes of director Denis Villeneuve's Dune from 2021. This is obviously not true, as this project was officially announced in February 2020 and its principal photography began a bit late in July 2021 due to COVID-19. Also, the world which director Nag Ashwin has built looks the way it does because of story reasons which are established at the film's very beginning. There is a particular homage to the lightsabers from Star Wars though, which is pretty cool. The concept of bounty hunters seems heavily inspired from Alita Battle Angel from 2019, and the protagonist Bhairava is also a bounty hunter in the movie whose primary motivation is to live his dream life in the complex since his childhood, but he needs 1,000,000 units to get in there. There are short cameos in the movie by other regionally popular actors and directors which are fun and move the plot forward. The symbolisms are also interesting. For example, the protagonist is named Bhairava, and just like how Lord Kal Bhairav from the Hindu epics rides a dog, he rides an AI-powered car that transforms into a dog-like mech in the film's climax. Let's start with what I didn't like about this movie first. Firstly, like I said, the movie's first half is focused on detailed world building, but with that, it also introduces many characters that had simply no reason to be there in the plot and simply extended the movie's runtime. In fact, they had no character arcs and simply disappeared in the climax. Bhairava's rival bounty hunter, the rebel who was a fan of him, and his love interest who served no purpose other than showing Bhairava what complex is like from the inside as she was a labor there are some examples. Bhairava's introductory sequence was also too dragged and felt tonally disconnected from the rest of the movie. The songs in the movie were also likely put in due to the production house's pressure in order to pander to the general Indian palate, but they are really lackluster and break the flow of the movie. Then you have the villain, Supreme Yaskin's motivations. We actually had no clarity on what he was trying to achieve with his fetus experiments until the mid-credit scenes, not even in his introductory sequence where he kills one of the scientists who attempted killing him after seeing the inhumane womb experiments that we talked about. Now, this scientist actually goes to Yaskin on the pretext of knowing what this ongoing project is about. But Yaskin only tells him that this project is to perfect the next generation of humans, ending their defect of destroying Mother Nature. This is kinda ironic given how Yaskin's complex was sucking resources from the earth to maintain itself. But finally, the mid-credit scene shows his true intentions. He could only extract a drop of Kalki's DNA serum where he was in the womb for 5 months before his mother escaped the complex in order to protect her child, and using it, he becomes divine and is able to wield a celestial weapon which belonged to one of the major characters from the good side in the Mahabharat war. The movie also ends without resolving the main conflict, which was the birth of Lord Kalki. The twist we get to see in the movie's climax is brilliantly executed, and most people won't see it coming, even though it's foreshadowed before the climax once. But it doesn't really make sense plot-wise. Without spoiling much, a major character's consciousness enters the protagonist for a few moments and he kills the antagonist, Manas, the commander of Supreme Yaskin, and saves Kalki's mother, that is Sumiti, before turning normal. This character was on the negative side in the Mahabharat war, just like his friend Ashwathama, who in turn was carrying his now dormant celestial weapon since his death. When Bhairava touches that weapon, it activates again and the major character's consciousness enters him for a moment. Now, this particular climax would be a tad bit controversial as they are bringing back a negative character from the Mahabharat even though he wasn't an immortal or has any redemption to do like Ashwathama. But it'll be interesting to see in which direction director Nog Ashwin goes after the sequel, as his creative liberty has now involved characters and weapons in the conflict leading to Kalki's birth which aren't present in the actual prophecy or lore. Finally, the comedy and jokes in the movie didn't land for me. I know this is extremely subjective, but I only liked a few meta or fourth wall breaking jokes regarding the protagonist's actor, that is Prabhas, and by one of the cameos. Bhairava's banter with his car's AI, Buji, takes a huge part of the movie and honestly didn't appeal to me. Again, I feel like these were shoehorned in the script to appeal to the mass audience because these are mostly present in the first half of the film. Now, on to the positives. The movie's VFX and CGI are top class. They have been done by DNEG, the multiple Oscar-winning studio behind the visuals of movies like Interstellar, Inception, Dune, Blade Runner 2049, Avengers Infinity War, and Brahmastra, which was India's finest work in terms of VFX and CGI before this movie. Apart from the scenes where we see a de-aged version of Amitabh Bachchan playing a young Ashwathama during the 5-minute long Mahabharat flashback sequence, the Shambhala rebels' weapon that looks somewhat plasticky despite being modeled practically, and evident firework for some of the action scenes in the first half, the VFX and CGI were practically flawless. This is an insane feat given the tight budget and massive scale of the movie's sequences. This is why I say that practical sets and props go a long way in complementing a movie's visual design when the scope of the movie is huge, like in Kalki. Same could be said about the movie's BGM. The actual songs felt forced, were below mediocre, and broke the flow of the movie, but the musical themes of the characters elevated their scenes to the next level, including the theme played during the movie's title card and the revelation in the climax. The great BGM work is especially apparent whenever Ashwathama and Bhairava came face to face for a confrontation. Acting-wise, almost everyone gave a solid performance. Prabhas was convincing at playing a jovial and goofy bounty hunter protagonist. Amitabh Bachchan gave one of his best performances in recent years as Ashwathama with a commanding screen presence that was only rivaled by Kamal Hassan's Supreme Yaskin whenever he was on screen, though he had a very little screen time in this movie. One of the cameos shown in the Mahabharat war flashback gave a memorable performance as well. The remaining actors did a fine job, nothing extraordinary. The screenplay is tight in the second half, though it's a bit dragged in the first half due to the flaws I talked about earlier. The cinematography, visual storytelling, and symbolisms are very apparent and beautiful. So, overall, I'd rate this movie a 3 to maybe 3.5 out of 5. I can't decide on a single rating, but it's somewhere between 3 to 3.5 out of 5. It's definitely a theatrical experience despite its flaws, and it takes Indian cinema towards a right direction as the first mainstream high sci-fi movie on such a scale. So yeah guys, that wraps up this review. Do let me know in the comment section below if you like this review or not, what can I improve upon and other stuff. Thanks for watching, like, share and subscribe. I'll catch you in my next video. Until then, peace, have a nice day ahead, bye bye for now.